Hello everyone and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 446. Today is Saturday, August 5th, 2023, and I'm glad you could join me today. It is a beautiful day. It's pretty chill. Actually recording in the morning, so not too shit. There's like a decent amount of life stuff that needs to be taken care of, but we'll just get the podcast ticked off the list. No big deal. So it has been a couple of weeks since I recorded last, and a big part of that was how many adventures I've been on. Which, whatever. It was great. More adventures are hurtling my way. Or would it be the case where I need to finish taking care of all of my business for would it be a trip to Asia that I'm going on, and not too long. So it'll be exciting in time. Let's see. Yeah, it's just gonna be a little bit crazy pants for the next couple of weeks, and sadly, what is it? DBN picked up a cold, and now I have a cold, so that's why. It was definitely one of the ones where you're like, well, that escalated quickly. Yeah, and then we've run out of tissues, and we're almost out of toilet paper. I really need to get back to the store, because there's definitely some missing stuff. But it would be the case where, I have quite a few stash acquisitions to share with you guys this week, so that is exciting. Would it be like some pretty good knitting progress, all things considered. Yeah, and then maybe I'll just whatever. Like, I've had some time to process. And would it be just like, whatever, give at the very least, or like high level on SSK. Like, I don't think it's worth it to get like super into the details, because whatever, it's good. But we'll try to cover that too. And there has been a small amount of spinning. Would it be? So there's been my class spinning, as well as getting some more course spun done, but I'm still at the halfway point, so whatever. So I'm also just like really want to gulp down my coffee, but then it's gonna make my nose run, and then there are no tissues to wipe it. It's a complicated series of events. So I suppose we can start with the finished object. So this is a refinished object. So this is my bandana cowl that I ended up re-knitting by making one crucial change, which is that I did an I-cord cast on that would fit around my head, and then picked up and knit from there, instead of starting from a little triangle and moving out. And so while this doesn't, strictly speaking, make like the most beautiful looking thing off the body, it's definitely much closer to being body shaped afterwards. So this is wearing it like a cowl, and like I think you guys can can see, like, whatever. So this looks like a massive shawl, but it's like totally in place. And then alternatively, you can pull it down over the old shoulders and you have something that's a bit more poncho-y. And then also, it'd be the case where you can also do things like this, which would be more of that voyage style. Would it be where you end up, whatever, having a point on your side or something like that. So, would it be, maybe there's like a smidge of awkward, but it's significantly less awkward than it was before. So I think the take-home lesson here was, like, if something seems off, fix it. Because I am much happier. I am much happier with this, so it is exciting. I think I ended up using more white yarn this time around. I don't know if that's because of the I-cord cast on, or some of my yarn choices, or I was doing things like a little bit differently. Like, time has passed since I knit this at the lesson, okay? And I had originally started this project because I was taking a Francois Denoy class about basically unleashing your creativity by playing with textures and needles and sort of giving yourself like a creative pile and then going to town. And so I was in a 2-color brioche place, and that's what I ended up doing here. And I did make a slight modification to like my triangle increase. So it was the case where I had a centered increase and then I had not centered increases, and I alternated back and forth with that to create a triangle shape. So pretty happy with how everything turned out. My Judith Mackenzie is front and center by my face, but then we have this little bit of Sarah Anderson sample of my first core spun yarn. Down is like a nice accent. Would it be, I think, a really good way of using up some scraps for sure. Will I write a pattern? I don't know. It's pretty straightforward. This one's probably easier to write a pattern for than the other brioche shawl. That brioche shawl that I was working on last SSK. It was the case where I was thinking about bringing it with me for the Try It On room, and then I remembered that's my own design. I would only be bringing it to feed my ego. Because no one else would be able to do it because I've not translated it into words and instructions, whatever. But would it be? So would it be? So this was fun. This is good. I'm much happier with it now. I'm glad that I ripped it out and restarted. Would it be? But there was a price to be paid for that, so that just meant my sweater cast on has been pushed out even further in time because I decided to reknit this. Oh well, everything does whatever. Time is limited, so would it be? Yeah, so should be good. Would it be? Definitely a good little, like this, I know, this feels really comfortable, so that's cool. Okay. Did I finish anything else? No. Am I way closer to finishing something so I can cast on sweater? Yes. Do I laugh at myself because I took that sweater yarn that I bought at SSK back to San Francisco, all the way to Asia, back to San Francisco again, back to Nashville, back to San Francisco, and still, what would it be? We haven't begun the poet. But this is like the most well-traveled yarn that's at some point it will become. But what did end up getting quite a lot of effort into it is this scarf. So this is also 2-color brioche, pattern of my own design. This was originally the cursed cowl, for which I was doing increases to make a square instead of a triangle. Would I have liked the cowl had I done it that right? Maybe. Would it be? But also, like, I can now see the utility of casting on for your head and going from there. So this had quite a lot of work put into it. I do believe that this is the right thing. It is almost wingspan now. Like, we're talking from fingertip to, like, elbow now. But still not yet big enough to keyhole, so I tried a little bit of that last night. So it's not quite there yet. Oh, dear. Not quite to keyhole. But we're definitely getting there, and I'm not running out of yarn yet. So, what would it be? Maybe I'll feel slightly more nervous as this ball dwindles. This ball is probably never ending. I might put tassels on it. We'll see. We'll see. If I have quite a bit left over, I will contemplate it. But I don't know. It may be too silly. We'll hold judgment on that one. So, I'm now in a plain knitting section of this, which is pretty straightforward. I did end up making one mistake where I went a little bit too long in one of the colors, but I'm not gonna go back and fix it because it had been long enough ago that I just needed to let it go. And it's not like it's a major one, it's just I ended up doing four more rounds than I had intended. The crucial thing with this one is just stopping every so often and checking to make sure that I have my 19 knit ridges on it. And so that is how I'm keeping myself in line, is just making sure that that is happening. Sorry, I'm gonna be fairly snotty. So, yeah, so this has been easy enough knitting. Would it be? There are definitely times where I'm like, like, is this going to be too much? But it hasn't been, or would it be? It was not. So if, whatever, because I ended up making, like, a big mistake when I was, like, at the baseball game, where I was trying to talk with my coworkers, pay attention to the game, and knit, and that was too many things. SSK is not too many things for this. So it was the case where talking to people and paying attention to this project was fine. I just didn't throw in the third item, which was professional sports. So this ended up getting quite a bit of work on it. I was able to knit a little bit on some of the plane rides. I was able to work on this as sort of my primary project for the retreat. And would it be? And it's really been like a pleasure to work on. So I am glad that I'm now at this stage. Or I'm glad at this stage, like it's clear, okay, I'm definitely am not going to run out of the precious handspun. So that is also good. It's sort of almost to that minimum length, if you know what I mean. We're getting very close to that. And it's definitely bigger than like the little Sophie scarf would be. So the little Sophie scarf would be one where you could just do like the little tie, and it's, we're leaning into the babushka life right now. My poncho and skinny scarf, but would it be the case where this is probably bigger than like a Sophie scarf, but I think we will be able to make it too. So it's something that will be like keyholeable. And then I'll need to make a call on if I do want to tilt it into like more of like blue. Let's just be frank, friends. That's where that went. I actually managed to gain something. I was going through my samples and like, I know I did one. We're okay. So it should be fun. I am looking forward to the finished object on this one. But it's definitely been a pleasure to knit as well. So the lighter colored yarn is samples from my hipstring class from last year's SSK. So one of them is a super fine merino silk. I think there's also tussa in there. And then the other ply was a 50-50 superfine merino and camel. And then the pink is a mixture of camel, merino, silk, kiviot, that I made 7 precious row-logs and then spun into 330 yards. So this is also very well traveled yarn. This too has been to Asia as well, so would it be? Or at the very least, I think I initially balled this up to make a project before my first failed trip to Asia. Whatever. So should be good. Would it be? We'll see how much more gets done. It definitely is the easiest project to carry around right now. So it has that going for it for sure. Now, in terms of my other project, this was the case where I did end up realizing I couldn't get too much farther ahead on this one. So this is my Scheherazade. It is Anna Victoria pattern that I'm knitting out of Cobweb Weight Yarn Place Gentle, which is a merino cashmere blend. And I have dyed this a couple of times, especially with this awesome gradient. Now, I had my scale, I had my beads, but what I didn't have was the spreadsheet. So the plan for this is I'm knitting the first border chart on this, and then I'm going to weigh my yarn again and figure out if I need to drop needle size in order to not use too much. I did all those extensive calculations, and then when I picked up the project again, I guess my gauge had shifted a bit from before. So I don't know if I feel less but my stitches are using more yarn. We can ponder. We can ponder. So I am, I think, one more row away from doing that. I finished off, I had like had a partially completed row, so at some point I had knit some of this and then put it down, and then came back. It's like, But I am in a spot where we're just amping up the drama with, so we're amping up the drama on this one, so we're definitely transitioning away from the repeat that had been going on. And I think you can sort of see the triangles in there. Let's see if we can't. There we go. It's like we don't have a plain enough background with which to share this with. So we have this sort of like diamond shape with beads in the corners, and then sort of this mesh is coming together, which is made up of, would it be, whatever, sort of like clusters, maybe similar, oh, I don't even, they're cool. So there's definitely like a decent amount. So it would be the case where in the chart you're thinking this looks like more like positive space, but it's definitely, we're definitely in like a negative space moment. So 2 more rows and then I get to weigh and then I can make a decision. These poor needles are, life has been rough on these needles. They are not straight and flat anymore. Would it be like, so they're definitely struggling a little bit right now. And if I drop needle size, like, that too will probably not be very easy on it. But would it be? It was the case where you'd be like, why were you working on lace at the knitting retreat? And it was like, you know what? Like, the repeats are not that long, so so it'd be the case where it's pretty easily memorizable at this point. It's pretty clear what it is I need to do and easy to read the knitting for this, so I wasn't too worried about it. And it'll be interesting to see where the chart goes from there, or where the charts take me on this one. Would it be? So there could be a change coming for this one. We still have plenty of yarn. I don't know about where I should be in yarn usage before, where I'm going to be in yarn usage before the end of the chart, so I'll just have to do like a quick check-in on that. So when I started the border, I'd used 25% of the yarn, so this project will continue. But yeah, it isn't an all-purpose project because of the beads, so it tends to get a lot of work done at like midnight. But I will have to get to my stopping point while I'm at home so I can enter my data in and decide where we are going from there, as you do. So there is that. But at some point soon there will be Poet. I didn't even show people my ridiculous swatch. It's just been sitting crumpled in the bag for a while, but it is coming, and it is gorgeous, and I am looking forward to starting soon. so it went with me. It was all ready to go. But I didn't finish the scarf. Like, I don't feel bad about I did finish one thing, so there's that. But yeah, so I felt like I did not feel like I was inappropriately projected. Like, it's probably like maybe like a good thing for my own mental state that like it's like, oh yeah, still got it. Still can knit challenging things while talking to people. So, in other news, I am very, very close to being done with the first half of my core spinning, so that I can then move to the second half of my core spinning, so that I can resume my sweater project, resume my sweater spin. So, but I don't know, there's definitely like a moment where I'm like, am I doing this the way that I wanted to? So I guess we'll end up finding out. But like, definitely have like a pretty full bobbin going on here, so hopefully I can cram it all on. But also just having like a moment where it's like, I have not worked on this in such a long time, I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing. So, we'll see. It's gonna be really, really lovely yarn, and I don't know if it's gonna end up becoming like a proper poncho. We shall see. We shall see. But that's whatever. I got a little bit of time on it, which was lovely. So what I wanted to share next was would be some of the retreat spinning that I ended up doing. So I ended up taking 2 Jillian Moreno classes this year. So one of the classes was about, or one of the classes was called True Color, and the other class was Woolen Prep and Draft. And so, what would it be? So it'd be the case where, like, or what would it be? It'd be the case where what Jillian does in all of her classes is she presents a ton of options, and then it's sort of up for you to decide in the midst of the class which one of those directions you're going to take, because she'll present 7 and you can probably do 2 in like the 3-hour time. But then she sends you back with a lot of fibers, so you can try those other directions if you feel like. I have a whole Ziploc baggie of fiber from last year's class with Jillian, so whatever. And honestly, it was very, like, that class was probably very similar to this one, but it is the case where she does, it does end up getting changed over time, because I think I took a class that was, like, explicitly about, so I think, like, the class that I took last year was explicitly about braids. This one was sort of a little bit bigger scope of more than just braids, but covering a lot of the same ground. And so, the ground that I covered, amongst all of the directions that she was going for, was about either so it'd be the case where this time around I did some drafting together of a particular braid in order to, what would it be? So this was a case where I took my length of fiber, and then I ended up drafting together from both ends of it, and then I ended up applying it together on itself. And oh, this is definitely an arm skein, not a full skein. And you can tell that I did not seam it either. But what this means is that I have the marled singles from drafting from both ends of the braid, but then it's also still pretty coherent color-wise. Maybe not as bright and true as it would be, because you definitely have some opposites on the color wheel here. But definitely like a nice, like, sunset-y sort of colorway. So this is something that I have not, or it would be the case where I have done drafted together projects before, and that eventually became my Delancey sweater. But I can definitely see like this is a very, very pretty sort of skein. Now the other direction that I went in her class was actually doing mud. Because I'm like, I've never tried this before, so I should try it in this controlled environment. And so it's the case where this was probably much more of like my typical spinning mode. But it was the case where we had this fiber, I looked at this fiber and I'm like, you know what? I do want to play around with this, and I'm really curious what happens if I do this, basically this like mud technique. And what it boils down to is you take your very colorful thing of fiber, and this one had like pretty short color repeats in it. And what I ended up doing was I took cards, I loaded on the cards, I ended up doing like 2 passes blending, and then I ended up spinning from the cards. And so this is what I got. Is very moody, but still, or would it be, like, you can definitely tell that there are quite a few colors in this, but it's sort of like hard to pin down exactly what it is. But it's definitely like still like a big impression of sort of blue. Like, this is definitely still a molly color, because I really wasn't sure what was going to happen. And this is the fiber I started from. So I tried to make sure that I had a full color repeat in here. So we have sort of 2 shades of blue, a little bit of purple, but definitely a mixture of like warm and cool tones, like true rainbow action. But the color repeats are super duper short, so there wasn't as much like on the color manipulation side of things. So I'm going to spin this as a single and chain ply it, and then I will have sort of a compare and contrast between this, my mud, my on purpose but incredibly beautiful mud. It's so pretty. And then this, which would have been maybe how I would like normally approach a rainbow. Would, as you do. So that was really cool. And definitely something that I hadn't tried before, but I'm definitely open. I'm definitely open to doing that, if that makes sense. So that was something where it's like, oh, like, and why would you do that? So a reason why you would do that is if you want to create a neutral color that goes with the bright. So it'd be the case where that would be the reason why you would do it, is that if you have a colorful braid, it's sometimes hard to select a color to go with it. It can be easier to guarantee that it turns out right if you take all of the colors and put them together. So I don't know if that's what I'm going to do with all of this all of this fiber that I got from it, but it was the case where she sends you home with plenty of stuff to play. So I have stuff to draft together. I have some of the original ounce of that, some other colorways which appealed to me. We have our more of like our candy stripe going on here. Would it be other fun colors, short repeats, sort of that speckle dyed fiber, which will end up turning out pretty darn neutral. Oh, fiber everywhere. So I have a lot of stuff to play with, and then similarly, I have like last year's baggie, which is fallen out. And some of this too is, or would it be, some of this is maybe a little bit of leftover from Jill's class, so last year I took it from Jill and Jillian. So there is that. I probably should rescan this bad boy, and probably I'll take some aesthetic pictures of the other one because it pleased me. So the other class that I took was the Woolen Prep and Draft, and I lucked out because the person who was sitting next to me did not enjoy the bat, but I did enjoy the bat. So Jill's child, Gab, ended up carding these bats, and they did a really great job. So I have a navy, and then I have a teal, and I'm hoping to have whatever. So I'll have 2 ounces of something. I've already started. Actually was doing a lot of long draw, so I'll probably continue long draw for the project. But yeah, so that was like the bat exercise. What we have here is we got 2 giant yellow Rologs, and so what I ended up doing, there ended up being like quite a bit of Rologs, so I managed to spin it all in the class. But then we also had this cloud, which is sort of this red in here. And so the cloud was really fun to spin as well. So what would it be? So maybe I shouldn't have like kept it all as a single unit, but I don't know, whatever. So, and then also for me, just the difference in loft and thickness of me spinning long draw versus short forward. Huge. I was also trying to spin this really fast because I had a little bit of a deadline. So I didn't bring my wheel with me this year, so I was borrowing Laura's Majacraft Rose, which lovely wheel, very fun to spin. Or would it be I'd say I've never liked shocked wheels. Almost like the Matchless. Would it be? And then, like, yeah. So, but the Majacraft are definitely compatible with me. Obviously, you guys know I love my Lindrum to pieces. At some point, I will wear through my Lindrum and whatever. I can buy a new flyer. Those are cheap enough. So, would it be? But since my class was on Friday and that was going to be the try it on, or that was going to be the tasting room night, I had to get everything off of it. So definitely had a situation in which I was wearing a plying bracelet around. I got to borrow a spindle so that I could mostly get stuff off, which is why you're seeing all these turtles. But I didn't manage to get it all done, so this is actually a turtle that, or one of these was a turtle that I ended up finishing at midnight with my own spindle. But would it be? But like, these are all of the woolen yarns that I ended up finishing in the class. So quite a bit of spinning, at least for me, in the time period, and just contrast briefly with my little mud rainbow. So would it be? So it is the case where I definitely, or would it be, like, I'm going to sit down and wheel and I'm going to start mostly doing short forward draw. But it was the case where I was able to pretty much immediately transition to woolen spinning and have a lot of success with it. So it's definitely a case where I have that skill. It's not my default choice to approach the project, but then when I make yarn like this, it's like, like, would it be? It's so lofty and fun. Oh yeah, this is definitely what I did at midnight the other night. I was wondering where my leader went. There's my leader. No longer lost. So, not too crazy there. But would it be? So it was the case where, it was definitely more of like a, did I have any revelations about woolen spinning that I did not have before? I would say it was more like reminding me that it is an option, affirming that, like, I definitely have that skill and can use it when I want to. And then it was the case where I did very much so enjoy spinning the cloud. I also did very much so enjoy spinning the bat, which, since you all have been on this journey with me for quite some time, it's definitely the case where I'm like, bats, whatever, but now I can be a part of the pro bat party. So now I think I know what the episode. Now I think I know what the episode name's gonna be. It's the pro bat party. Who knows who YouTube is gonna suggest for that one, but whatever. So, what did it be? And I think this one ended up being more of like a hybrid, so there's definitely some short forward draw in here as well as some woolen, so this particular ball is semi-chaotic, but whatever. They will eventually end up in my collection of samples, which I have greatly decreased, and we will find a different thing to make with them in the future. But yeah, so this one was like old school roving, and it's really pretty how it turned out. It wasn't, would it be? I think we started, I was drafting together from top, I think, so I was not making it easy myself, but it was a case where it was very clear when I transitioned to this, like, just how much easier it was to do the action of long draw. So that was that. And then, would it be? This was also like getting into that sort of thick group. So I don't know if that's the case where if I decide that I do want to do a big woolen project, I may need to have like a woolen lead up. Just to sort of like settle into the drafting of it, but such big squish. So what would it be? And all of the Rologs were yellow, so it was like, okay. Yeah, I don't think that I could use all of these in the same project. Oh well, whatever. So that was that. It was fun. Would it be? Sometimes that's just what you need is playtime, and so that was definitely the case. Yeah. Would it be? Though I will, or would it be? There's probably like I know, is it like homework or creative samples? But yeah, it's definitely the case where I'm leaving with more than my materials fee of fiber. That's what I want. That's what I want to say. I left with more than my materials fee of fiber, so I can appreciate that. So, later we'll go there for the future. And we'll get that reunited with its spindle up there. So, would it be? There was also quite a bit of stash positioning that ended up occurring. And there were like a couple of changes to like the flow this time around. So there was a pool party that didn't end up occurring, but I was definitely there for that because it's hot and it's not hot here. It's never pool party weather in San Francisco. Whatever. Yeah, it's not even, for how long it's actually toasty here, the water would always be too cold. There was also an open house sort of before the official start of the retreat at Modern Daily Knitting, and so that was super duper lovely to be able to go. They had all of their field guides out with all of their samples out, and then they had opened up their warehouse area. Never have I ever seen that much spin cycle in so many colorways in such quantity before, but I didn't buy any. But it was epic. So if you're looking for spin cycle, you may want to hit them up because it's epic. And then they also have their own yarn, which is called Atlas. And so it was definitely like a woolly wool sort of, what would it be? It had big squish. It was definitely like on that breed specific end of things. But I did end up trying on a sample and it was spectacular. And so then I picked up the book and I looked through the book and then decided to buy that. So, I ended up getting Grace from them, and so this one features Holy Locatelli designs, and so there are 4 different patterns in this, but I tried on this very sample and it was spectacular. So twisted stitches and cables. I thought it was brioche, but it was not. And then it was the case where I saw a lot of this Quattro wrap on social media, I think when this was coming out. So that's a definite possibility for me as well, because I have those sorts of quantities floating around in the stash. And then I don't know about the vest, but this was another pattern in the book. And then maybe like the beanie is cute, but would it be not necessarily a must knit for me. Mostly bought it for the shawl and the sweater. So, would it be? But samples are a beautiful thing. The other thing that I ended up doing to decrease stress was I flew in the day before, and so it was the case where got in, it was a little bit of a hot mess. There were thunderstorms, which was why the pool party never happened. And let's just say we got landed, so we didn't have to get diverted, which was great. So they got us on the ground, but then no planes could leave. 30 minutes into hanging out on the ground, the Bambinos in the back of the plane were all pissed. And mine is the loudest. And then we still had another 30 minutes to go, so whatever, such is life. So it was the case where we eventually got through, met my mom, we had dinner, sent her on our way, but it was the case where it was so nice because there was definitely people like already in like retreat mode. So it was nice because it was unstructured, but you knew everyone was there. Or would it be that people were slowly coming in, so got to have a lovely brunch. Got to go to the open house, and then eventually sort of slid into the retreat itself, and that was so much nicer than arriving later on Wednesday. So that was good. Let's see. What else? I didn't end up going to any of the local yarn stores this time. Just something about the schedule. Something about my schedule didn't end up working with that, but it was fine. So what would it be? I would just say, in terms of like the sweater try-on, so it was the case where samples did sell me, so I did end up picking up yarn for a shoulder season. So that was super duper cute. Know exactly what size I want to make. Got to try on all of the sizes around it in order to sort of settle into what I wanted. I don't know. It was just the case where it's definitely the case where you end up meeting in the try-it-on room like your size twin. So so Tennessee Mary is still my size twin, and we knit lovely sweaters for each other. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but it was the case where another one that I ended up getting sold on was the Tetris wrap, and it turned out I already owned the pattern because it was in Jillian Moreno's Yarn-A-Texture. So what I ended up doing was I ended up picking up another skein of self-striping from Strength Theory Colorworks. So I won this colorway probably SSK 2019. So this is Stark Effect, and it is Neon-tastic. So this will go with another skein in my stash and some solid in order to put together sort of a t-shirt top. I'll probably, I don't know if it's the case where I'll need to, I'll need to find like some counterweight. I'll probably need to find some counterweight to its Neon-tasticness, because when I had originally selected it, I was thinking socks, but I'm looking forward to it. It was also the case where there was another sample in her booth, which was, I think, like Diamonds Are the Girl's Best Friend, which was also really cool and needed 2 skeins. So I'm like, this could go away, but I'm thinking the Tetris top is the right one. And I just need to figure out if there's a, I don't know. I'm like thinking if it needs to be, if the other color is black. But I think I'll light up like a crazy party with this one, so whatever, it's fine. So there is that. This was the yarn I ended up selecting for my shoulder season. So this one is another Crafty Girl in Punky Brewster. And then this is Leaning Men Fiber Arts in Dancing Queen. And so Tennessee Mary was very helpful in finding the right contrast where the teals and purples in Dancing Queen, but the white base really works really nicely with sort of the same colors in this one, but we'll get a really good contrast. So I got 2 25-gram skeins so that I can have the shoulders and then all of the trim, and then 3 of these in order to knit the top. It if I had been a size 2, I could have gone away with 2 skeins, but I was definitely a 3. So a 10 always, but so definitely excited about that. Laura had her Weekender Light in a different Another Crafty Girl color. It was so gorgeous. So it's definitely a case where I'm looking forward to knitting with this yarn because it just looks so stunning. Would it be as like big fabric? So not a pooling sort of situation at all. Let's see. Another direction that I ended up going was, so while I was in Tennessee at the retreat, my spouse was in Scotland with one of his good friends, so sort of a work, play sort of trip. It's one they've been talking about taking forever, so they, but it was the case where I went to the mustache booth, and then I saw all of the Star Wars colors, and my spouse was from Star Wars, so I'm like, I took a picture of two different yarns, and it was an instant response that Anakin, Lord Vader, was the Dark Father, was the one that he wanted, so come to the dark side, we have cookies. So I'll be making a pair of socks for him with this. So, what would it be? But it was the case where I'm just like, this is too perfect, I need to share. So, what would it be? Because I do have quite a bit in the stash that I haven't gotten around to, but it's too fun. Let's see. What other paths do we have in this winding thing? So, you know, like when you step into someone's booth and you just instantly know that they have like your color sense. When I stepped into Why Not's booth, it was definitely the case where there's all these like rich deep colors, but then also like natural ones as well. And what really got me was that like lots of custom milled bases. So this one is Coopworth, Lamb's Wool, Alpaca, and Yak. And so I ended up getting 2 for what would be, I figure that's sort of my minimum amount. It definitely looked like excellent color work yarn. Yeah, and so then this is sport weight. I don't know, I guess this maybe it's like 230 yards. I have to double check the weight because this might be actually the D. This might actually be more worsted or DK. But either way, it was festive and fun. So it was good. I'm excited. And then in a very similar vein, these are pretty similar. But this is super fine merino, and so this is from Whimsy Stitches, and what sold me was this gray. So it has that like perfect speckle to it, and I was contemplating getting this in my great shawl yarn search, but then I concluded that I did want to buy this, and then I would get a nice deep blue to go with it. And that it would be for me. Whatever. So, no specific plans, but obviously having a blue and gray moment. But what I ended up spending most of my time doing was actually figuring out the perfect pink. And so I kept going from Leading Men Fiber Arts to Suburban Stitchers to Whimsy Stitches and then back around again over and over until it would be we hit the end. I kept going back, and so I went through the whole market a couple of times to figure out who had the best pinks. They had the best pinks, and then it was a matter of figuring out which one made the most sense, because this isn't for me. This is yarn that I'm going to make a shawl for my nanny with. And then Diane ended up being the most persuasive. She's like, these are supposed to be together. So we have Nightlife, which is the gray base, and then we have Popstar, which has more of the white base, and then there are the same pinks in them, and also, also in terms of, like, the speckles. So there's a little bit of brown speckle in both of them. And then there's more, I would say, there's a decent amount of purple in both of them. She's like, I dyed these together so they would be together. And so that's what ended up convincing me of this one. I don't know if this is going to be a brioche design of my own, or I'm going to reknit the brioche design that I ended up doing last year. Maybe this time actually taking notes. We shall see. But it was the case where this ended up being the winner. But what would it be? Like, Leading Men had like a very, very lovely pink gradient set. And then it was the case where you saw the runner-up there, and so there were a couple of different pinks in Rick's booth that were very lovely as well. So, would it be like a little bit further from the purchase is the case where I'm like, is this pink enough? But whatever. So I think it will end up being very gorgeous. So yeah, I guess it's just an interesting question about which way I end up going. Do I actually want to write up that pattern or not? We'll see. So excited about that. Let's see. And then ended up making 2 fiber purchases. So I ended up getting this Will It Blend pack from Hipstrings. And so it's 4 ounces of various fibers to use as bat food, drum carder food, to keep that beast fed. So figured that's going to be a lot of fun to play with. And then it was the case where Urban Girl Yarn has started to dye fiber, so I was able to go in our booth, look and see how everything was, and what it was the case where I'm like, oh yeah, no, this was lovingly dyed. The quality of this is really good. So this is Targhee Bamboo Tussa, so should be a fun base to spin. And I selected this one because it had the most blue in it, but it definitely has quite a lot of sort of a yellow and egg yolky orange in it too. Which is funny because I ended up winning this one. So this is Into the World, and so this is Corriedale. That's a very similar color story, probably a little bit different, but it should be fun. And then the fiber that I ended up selecting fiber as my goodie bag item, and so this is Conjubilant, and so it is definitely like a fall palette of yellows and burgundies, but then also sort of like a rust. We're trying to get the color. So what would it be? They ended up also, I think, having like they were doing like a special order because lots of spinners were at the retreat. But I think Barnes's is fine, should be good. Oh, and it's gray Corriedale. So looks like I got two different Corriedales in them. So should be good. I haven't, would it be? I have spun with Into the World Fiber before, so they've definitely done goodie bag fiber in the past. And then would it be? It is the case where I did do use some of their fiber in Mega Cell way back when. So it is lovely. And then Jillian Moreno has it like in the glass samples a ton, so should be good. I'm excited. Have we covered all of the bases? I think so. What's in the bag is just the rest of the sweater quantity. Not too crazy there. So quite, I don't know, would it be? Like, I have to laugh because I was talking with my friend Kathy last night, and it was like on a fiber ban. But not really, because it did end up getting, 12 ounces. And now we have all of this too, so I guess some of that is from last year, but well, whatever. So that's all whatever fiber available for creative use, so it should be good. But like, I feel like I had like a pretty good mix of things. Maybe what would it be? We'll see what happens. Whatever. I think a lot of that like is like in the spirit of playfulness, so should be fine. Like it was a good time. Like when I think about what would it be, so it'd be the case where this is the 10th year of the SSK. I wasn't able to attend until I had a full-time job. And the irony of life, when you have time, you do not have money, and when you have money, you do not have time. Whatever. So, and then just thinking sort of holistically about this was, I'm pretty sure, like the 5th time that I had attended, so I've been to half at this point. It's just interesting because, whatever, you have like 150 people there. There isn't enough time to meet everyone, but to sort of hop around and at least semi-attempt to do that. I try. But it's just, would it be the case where it's just seriously lovely to be able to come back, whatever, year over year, or skip a couple and come back again, and like pick up where I left off with quite a few people. So it is like a really great thing to have sort of this great big knitting community that I can dip into and dip out of. Would it be? And it would be the case where I would also say just pleasantly surprising about would it be, just because at the end of the day, like, everyone has at least one thing in common, which they were excited enough about knitting to attend a several-day retreat about it. So that was really great. And then I would say the other thing that was maybe, would it be, or just really cool about this year was, would it be, like a really, really like good sized group of like, whatever, LGBTQ plus people. So it was really exciting to know that they, whatever, were welcome and comfortable. Because like, the world as a whole is not. So that was super duper lovely. So it was the case where we all had our pronouns, and so it was pretty easy to navigate that. So that was very lovely. Yeah, so it was a really good time. So it's very easy for me to say yes. So this year was a little, or whatever, I felt like I was pushing to the very last moment. Just in terms of like having enough vacation time. So hopefully, as I transition to having 3 weeks of time instead of 2 weeks of time, it'll be a lot easier for me. We can hope. So, yep. And then it was the case where spent a week with my parents, so that was super duper lovely. Got to share summertime, because it doesn't feel like summertime here. With the Bambinos, so that was super nice. I got to like swim in a lake and play on the bounce house and sweat. So it was also very nice going to the family reunion, because everyone in the room has some skin in the game. So so it was definitely much easier to let the child run free and know everything was going to be okay. There was going to be someone keeping an eye if your eye wasn't super duper keen. So that was good. Yep. And so what would it be? So just sort of transitioning back to normal life of grocery shopping and keeping everyone alive. I would say that was the other nice thing as well. So it was the case where I didn't have to abruptly return to full responsibility. It was the case where I spent the week with my parents, so I didn't need to, what would it be? I didn't need to keep everyone alive to the same extent. I could just get work done, so that was really nice. So by the time it came to this week, it was fine. Everything was under control. Yeah, so overall, a very happy experience. Hopefully, the random number generator will smile for next year. Because I don't know, I'll keep doing it. It's lovely. So what would that be? No, it was good. So in terms of the future, let me just do like a very quick double check. We are colliding with my travel schedule right now. It's like in 2 weeks I'll be flying to Asia. So I'll have to decide if I want to I'll have to decide if I end up podcasting next week or whether or not that even makes sense. Could I podcast on the road? We'll see. That is an option for sure. I'll have to think about that. Interesting. So I'll have to decide on that one. I suppose there is an opportunity there, because it feels like recording again in a month is a long time. So whatever, we'll figure out what makes sense. Yeah, that one's hard. Yeah, we'll have to figure that one out. But whatever, such is life. Let's see. Anything else? Should be good. This probably means that I actually do need to call the travel agent folks and finish pinning down details, so. Yeah, whatever. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.